Hey, welcome back guys. In today's video, we're going to find our rate of change in initial value. And then from there, we're going to write our linear equation in slope-intercept form. I know that was a lot. So basically what we're trying to do is get to y equals mx plus b. M is the rate of change. And then b is your initial value. And remember, rate of change is change in y over change in x. So let me give you a real life example of that. If I charge $10 to babysit, well, 1 hour, I'm going to make $10. If I work for 2 hours, then I'm making 20. If I work for 3, I'm going to make 30. So in other words, my change in y is increasing as my x increases, or a change in x. So think about it like that. Now, if I charged a trip fee, it's $20 to show up to your house, plus the $10 an hour. Well, that $20 to show up is your initial value. All right, let's go ahead and get started. First, I do recommend for students to write it like this. Now, keep in mind, it says equals. I'm going to bring that back to your attention when we start plugging in numbers. So for our x values, we're using 3, 4, 5, and 6. For our y values, it's -8, -4, 0, and 4. We're going to find our change in y over our change in x. Remember, that is our rate of change. So -8 to -4 is +4. From -4, I want to get to 0. That would be +4. How does 0 become 4? +4. Now I'm going to go to the left side and find all my change in y's, which I can see it's +1 every time. Just remember, it's change in y over change in x. So the way you can mess it up is flip it. All right, so if you're thinking about the y equals mx plus b, well, you have the y here. So over here is going to be your mx plus b. So I'm going to start off with the rate of change. And remember, after the m is your x values. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my x values that I have. All right, so there's no teaching method that says to put an equal sign here. If you feel like if you're here, well, it doesn't hurt to show you. 4 times 3 doesn't equal -8, but it's supposed to. So how do you get it to equal -8? Well, you take away 20. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 doesn't equal -4, but if I take away 20, I end up at -4. 4 times 5 is 20, doesn't equal 0, so I minus 20. 4 times 6 is 24, minus 20 equals 4. So here I've got my rule of y equals mx plus b. So in other words, these points that are on the line, that's where they came from. The rule or the equation for the line would be y equals 4x minus 20. So in other words, we started off at -20, we went up 4 and went to the right 1, up 4 to the right 1. All right, let's do another problem together. We're going to go a little faster, at least I'll try. And then the last one I'm going to have you try, or I suggest you try. I'm going to go with 3 points on this one. You really only need 2, to be honest with you, or whatever your teacher tells you. 2 gets the job done. How does 8 become 12 plus 4? 12 become 16 is plus 4. Now we're going to the left side. That would be plus 5. So every time my change in x was plus 5. So that means it's 4/5 is my rate of change. Okay. After the rate of change is all your input values, which are your x, also known as independent. Now, 4/5 times 5, that is 20 over 5, which is 4. 4 doesn't equal 8 unless I add 4. 4 times 10 is 40, divided by 5 is 8. 8 doesn't equal 12 unless I add 4 to it. 4/5 times 15, that gives me 12. 12 doesn't equal 16, so that's plus 4. So now I have my rule or my linear equation in slope-intercept form is 4/5 x plus 4. All right, here's the last one. I recommend that you pause the video, try to solve it yourself, and then come back. All right, guys, let's see how you fared out here. So I'm going to work it real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so on the right side, even though there's lots of negative signs, you're going up because, no, you're going down, sorry. So negative 10, and then you got negative 11, negative 12. So yeah, you're going down, minus 2. That means this is a negative rate of change unless the other side was negative 2. So you ended up with negative 2 for the change in y. Now, it's easy to tell it's plus 1 on the other side. So in other words, my rate of change is negative 2 all the way through. All right, one group of negative 2 doesn't equal negative 10. So the way you're going to get to negative 10 is minus 8. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, and negative 4 minus 8 will give me negative 12. 3 groups of negative 2 is negative 6, minus 8 will give me negative 14. 4 groups of negative 2 is negative 8, doesn't equal negative 16, so you ended up with minus 8 or negative 8, however you want to look at it. So my rule or my linear equation or the process, there's a lot of ways you could say it, is y equals 2x minus 8. If this video helped, don't forget to hit like or subscribe or even drop a comment. Thanks for watching.